How we doing, guys? Welcome to the preview and the predicted lineup. Arsenal against Tottenham. We are back from the international break, and what a game. We start with the North London derby. For me, this is the biggest fixture in the calendar. And it's not about Spurs being a great side and they're going to, challenge us for titles and all of that kind of rivalry. It's about territory. It's about local pride. It's about the rivalry that's been created for more than a century. It's a huge game. And I understand that there are some fans out there that may not feel the same. I know that seems a little strange, but when I was watching the Europa League final between Spurs and Manchester United, I was saying, without question of a doubt, Manchester United, they have to win. Can't see Spurs win anything. I didn't even like them winning the Audi Cup, right? But what I gathered from that is that there's a lot of international Arsenal fans, right, who maybe don't understand the rivalry, or maybe the rivalry is not as important as what it is to the local fans. There were a lot of Arsenal fans from Africa, different areas, and they were saying to me that they needed Tottenham to win because where they live, everybody supports Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc. Nobody supports Tottenham. So Tottenham winning would give them a peaceful summer. But if Manchester United won, they would have had the worst summer ever. So in some respects, I can understand where they were coming from. Before, I don't get it. But I do open my mind to understand that everyone does have difference of opinion. And they may not feel the same as what we do, who are local and have been raised not liking the other. Tottenham are the same. They don't like us. We don't like them. Okay? But for all of the international fans, or even some local fans who may not understand the history, I'm going to explain a couple of things for you. Arsenal obviously originate from South London, which is why we were Woolwich Arsenal. In 1913, Sir Henry Norris decided that he needed to move the club. Financial reasons and different other aspects as to why he wanted to move us. And they found the site at Highbury. And that is where he wanted to move us. And that is ultimately where we ended up going. Now, there was an objection at the time. And one of those was from Tottenham because it was close to them, about 4 miles down the road. But there's this myth from Tottenham fans that they are a North London club and they were here first and that we've just invaded their territory. But that's completely wrong. And the reason why it's wrong is not just because of a myth. It's not just because of hearsay. It's because of a fact. Arsenal became a North London club in the 1913-14 season when we moved to Highbury. Spurs did not become a North London club until 1965 because before that, Spurs were a part of Middlesex. Tottenham was Middlesex. It wasn't a part of London. It wasn't until the Government Act of 1963 that started to regroup all of the local areas as London got bigger in population, that they put Tottenham in the borough of Haringey, and they then officially became a North London club. So right up until 1965, Spurs were from Middlesex. Arsenal, North London. We had been in North London for 52 years before Spurs became a North London club. So all of this talk that Spurs were the first London side to win the double, at the start of the 60s. That's false. Because they weren't a London club then. They were a club from Middlesex. And until they moved over to North London, they were the most successful side in Middlesex. But the moment they merged and became a part of North London, they went straight into our shadows. They weren't the most successful club, and they never will be the most successful club. No Spurs fan has seen a picture of Tottenham win the league title in colour. Let that sink in. More than 60 years. The only images you will see of Spurs winning the league are in black and white. Arsenal have won the league title at Tottenham's ground as many times as Tottenham have in their whole entire history. What more do you want me to say? And if you want me to add just a final little bit to this, when Tottenham became a part of North London in 1965, do you know what the date was? April the 1st. April Fool's Day. You couldn't write it, honestly. But there's a little history lesson for you. So all of you Spurs fans that want to keep giving it and talk about us moving across all them years ago, let's remember nobody's alive anymore when we moved from South London to North London. And Arsenal fans who, have said to me before, how comes everyone says the Arsenal? When we moved to North London, we dropped Woolwich out of our name, and that's what we were known as, the Arsenal. And then in 1919, we then removed the first part, and we just became Arsenal. But that is obviously something that's stuck through generations in the history, and that class, the Arsenal. So that's where that comes from. But Tottenham, as I said, were not a North London club until 1965. So any Spurs fans want to sit there and try and tell you that we invaded their area? No, we didn't. We've been a London club since we were formed. You haven't. You're a part of Middlesex. You're a cricket club. Go and learn the history. They only created Tottenham for something to do during the winter months when the cricket season wasn't on. They weren't even known as Tottenham. They were known as Hotspur. But then they had to change their name and bring Tottenham in because there was someone else called Hotspur at the time. What more can you say? And since then, listen, we all know the history. Spurs could talk about them winning, the Europa League last season, the second-rate European competition, and that apparently they're going to be turning up to the Emirates this weekend with inflatables and they're going to be singing Champions of Europe and all the rest of it. You're not champions of Europe. You were the 37th best team in Europe. The first 36 teams before you were in the Champions League. But this was the first season that none of those Champions League sides dropped down into the Europa, making it considerably weaker. Let's have a look at the final. Manchester United and Spurs. Where did both of them finish in the league last season? Just above the relegation zone. Shows you the level that competition was. So they're not champions of Europe. What more do you want me to say? Well done. You had a day out. You won a flower vase. Ugh. Crack on. Enjoy it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. Now I've given you a history lesson. I'm really looking forward to the game. And team lineup is going to be very interesting. Of course, we've lost Gabriel for the next month or so, which is a massive blow. But I do think that we've got adequate cover in that defensive area. And it's going to be interesting what Mikel Arteta does. Some of the injured players possibly returning. And I'm kind of going to go on that basis more than anything. But it's a difficult one. And we've got Bayern Munich coming up in midweek. And then we've got Chelsea next weekend. So it's a big week. Very, very big week. So With that said, let's go and get into the lineup. In goal, David Raya, a very straightforward decision. Right back, Jurriën Timber, again, another straightforward decision. After the news of Gabriel when we was watching the Holland game and Jurriën Timber went down with what looked like an injury, every Arsenal fan was like, oh no, oh no. But he's fine, very simple. Right centre-back, William Saliba. Again, this is a very, very simple decision and we need him to step up. He's going to have to be one of the leaders now that Gabriel was gone. Can't say no more than that. Left centre-back. Now, this is where there's going to be some discussions. Could it be Calafiori? Could it be Mosquera? I believe there will be the balance of that left and right. And I feel that it will be Henkape. Now, I was tempted because when I look at Henkape on that left-hand side, I think, okay. And listen, Mikel could well go with it. He could go with Calafiori as the left centre-back. Could even go with Mosquera as the left centre-back and then Henkape as a left-back. You know, when you're watching Henkape on international duty and he's flying down that left-hand side, he's so good. But I think that in this position, he could be very good. So that's what I'm going to go with. Left-back, I'm going to go with Miles Lewis-Skelly. Calafiori has got a little knock at the moment. Was sent back from international duty, hasn't trained all week. I know that there's a training session today, but none of us will know what the situation is with that and whether he's going to be right. Or Miles Lewis-Skelly is a local boy. He will understand what the North London derby means. If you remember his performance, you know, at the Emirates last season, brilliant. No issues whatsoever. In the midfield, first of all, Martin Zubimendi. This will be his first taste of the North London derby, and I've got no issues, no problems, no worries. He's a superb footballer. On the right-hand side, Bukayo Saka, again, a player that's grown through the academy system, will understand the North London derby, loves playing against Spurs, loves scoring against Spurs. Let's have some more of the same, please. I want to see the performances that I saw, you know, for England, for example, than the last couple we've seen with us, where he's been a little bit below par, shall we say. But listen, there's no better game to pick yourself up and get yourself going again. So, yeah, very simple. Next up, this is so interesting as to what we will do here. Now, there's talk that Martin Odegaard is returning, but as much as I want him to start the game, I don't think he will, given the fact that he's been out for a considerable period of time. It wasn't like when he had his shoulder injury and he was back within a couple of weeks and you can kind of get going again from the start. I feel that he would be more introduced from the bench. And what a player. And you think about what he did when he came off the bench against Newcastle and how he completely changed the game in that aspect. And Eddie Howe was speaking after and said Martin Odegaard completely changed the direction of the game. And the reason why Newcastle were forced so back was because of him. But for this, I just feel it's too early and he won't start. So Eberechi Eza will go in that role. I don't think it's his preferred role on that right of there. I think if you was playing him on the left of there or on the left-hand side out wide, there wouldn't be an issue. But listen, it's absolutely fine. And again, this is somebody that will get his first taste of a North London derby. Next to him, Declan Rice. Very straightforward, very simple. And this is a very, very easy one for me. Missed one of the games in the North London derby last season. If you remember, at Spurs, he was suspended because of that silly red card that he got against Brighton that should never have been a red card. But anyway, we still won without him. On the left-hand side, I think it will be Trossard. He's been brilliant. He's been really good of late. And I felt in the Sunderland game, in the second half in particular, he was really good. Brilliant goal. And he's been very much involved of late. Very much involved. Goals, assists, etc. So very straightforward. And then up front as the main striker, Victor Gyökeres. I do think he may well be back. Now, given the fact that his injury happened a week before the international break, you've had the international break, it's been 2.5, 3 weeks. That's not a big, kind of gap in the way that Odegaard is, or Madueke, Havertz, all these type of players that are coming back from long term. I think that's enough there just to recharge the batteries, get himself going again and ready to go. And for me, if he's playing, it's important. He has to play for me, and he pens Tottenham back. And I don't think Tottenham are going to come and play expansive football against us. I think if you look at their away performances this season, which are a lot better than their home performances, Thomas Frank has got them playing very much like Brentford, which is they go into every game away from home as an underdog. They sit deep, they try to not concede, and if they can catch you on the counter, then so be it. And I think that's where a lot of their performances have come from and why they're so better away than they are at home. But let's also remember that Spurs have only ever won once in the Premier League in nearly 20 years since we've moved to the Emirates. Once in the Premier League. So their record at Arsenal is terrible. And within good reason. And even, in that little period where Spurs were doing a bit better than us and finishing higher than us for a couple of years or so under Pochettino, they still couldn't win at the Emirates. So listen, it's a big game, huge game. And we've got to keep the momentum. We've got to keep on winning. And a win would be brilliant before we play Bayern Munich on Wednesday, which is another monumental game. And then obviously Chelsea next weekend, which is another big game in itself. So listen, there we go. That is it. That is the preview of the North London derby. I gave you a bit of a history lesson, so I hope you enjoyed that. And listen, it's a big game. I'm looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. Apparently, there's a tifo going up before the game. It better not be anything like that last monstrosity that we had. Apparently this is fan-led and it's been designed by fans and will have more of a, you know what I mean? I don't want none of that madness that we had last time with that silly red background and the badge, and it was just a shambles. And I think Arsenal know that, and they know they need to get this right so everyone sits and goes, wow, that's how you do it. That's done right. And everyone can forget about that monstrosity the first time round against PSG. But yeah, listen, there we go. Big game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm buzzing. It's this game. It's the one game of the season. Please beat them. Beat them more than anything. I hate them. We'll see what happens. So you know what to do if you haven't already. Like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you lot very soon. I'm out of here.